Hey guys, it's Rush. BattleOfGlory.com lets you earn real-life money with their World of Tanks tournaments. If you'd like the chance to earn prizes upwards of €250 by playing World of Tanks, sign up with the referral link down in the description. So today we're going to be taking a look at a replay. Basically what happened was the team died. It happened slowly, but the team did a terrible job. I mean, I did a relatively bad job too, but it was one of those games where you just the only way you're going to win is if you win like an 8v1 and do 13,000 damage type games. So realistically, you're not going to expect to win those games. This video is going to show you, I mean, what I tried to do to make the most of those games, because the reality is you're not going to get 13,000 damage every single time your team dies. So what you can see happening here is we're on steps, standard game. Our team has about 5 top tier TDs. That's going to really screw our team over. I'd actually say the fact that we have so many top tier TDs is going to be one of the main reasons we lose this game. Particularly because they have a lot of top tier armor and they're going to use that armor to great effect. So that's part of it. So what you're going to notice is all of our TDs are camping right now. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tanks, give or take 1, who are in our base. I mean, the Grill, STRV, etc. are in our base. And meanwhile, they only have about 5 tanks lit. So at this point of time, it's like, okay, well, we have a camping TD. Hopefully their team is relatively camping too. And, we can just sort of, from my perspective, this looks like it will be a long 15-minute type game that could possibly end in a draw if they also are passive. So our team is passive. For this game to be close, they need to be passive too, and that's absolutely not what's going to happen. So what you're going to notice is we're just playing this position. I'm going to keep this in mind. Like, the way your team plays is really, really important. Now, I'm a sort of aggressive player, so you're going to see I'm going to sort of try to make some sort of aggressive play, but I was watching. I wanted to make sure I didn't get lit as I did that, because if I throw away HP as I was pushing up to the rock, that would be horrible. The 1390 lights me, and so I just say, okay, we're not going to push up. I'm not going to risk throwing away my HP. This game's going to be a long one, and for the most part, I was right in doing that. So what you're going to see is we're just looking for shots from here. I have shots in people. I'm going to take them. The risk is that I get clicked right here. You can see he damages my gun. And I think it's at about this point where I get RD'd or whatever, but, I get RD'd a lot of times. And you're going to notice how aggressive their team responds, like how aggressively their team responds to our passiveness. So what I have found, at least in this game, is when you're passive, people will be aggressive, like the enemy team. So if you don't do anything, they will generally push into you relatively quickly. I mean, most people aren't good at recognizing passiveness, but you can see we're 2.5 minutes into game. The 113's already up at this rock, and that's not good for us. So you're going to notice that we have a Grill and an STRV at J3, and then they also have a Flash and a 113 who are really aggressive on our side. Now, all the Flash has to do is poke when people aren't looking at him, and it's going to be very easy for him to, the 113. All he has to do is poke that rock when no one's prepared to shoot at him, and he will very, very easily just destroy our tier 8s. So we're in this situation where I'm a tier 10 tank, I'm down a couple HP. They've got a heavy tank, the 113, and they also have an auto-loading Flash 155 who is directly in front of us. So realistically, given the context of this game, they have more armor than we do on this flank, and that's going to allow them to push very, very easily. Now, you'll notice that our TDs have not moved. We've noticed that all of their armor is on one side of the map, and our team will not move to go deal with all that armor, and so that's going to be relatively important. You're going to see my aggressive nature sort of I have trouble keeping it at bay. You're going to notice I'm looking for shots on the 113. This is a very risky play, but I'm not lit, so I get away with it. But, it's me just trying to be aggressive because I'm relatively bored. You're going to notice I'm looking at my teammates. I'm looking at the situation. That's something that's also really important. So what you're going to see is I sort of decide to back off. I don't, like, the game is, we're losing the game, and I can tell that by just looking at my teammates. You're going to notice, like, one shot, one TD who's on 800 HP and IS3, and, these are tier 8 and 9 tanks. They're going to die really easily. All it takes is a stray RD shell or a stray TD shell or something, and they're finished. So I sort of need to start to try something if I want to win. Now, I want to point out the 113 dropped down. I noticed that, so I'm going to push up. And that's because if I don't do something, the game is 100% over. We need to try to kill their most armored vehicle. Once he's dead, then I can start being aggressive. And this play isn't going to work out for me. So we're going to notice a couple of things right here. I'm the most aggressive player right now, and that's obviously okay. I'm okay with that. I understand. But when you're aggressive, especially if you take a position that you can't run away from, it's very common for you to get rushed. So I want to point out how far back this Foch 155 is, and this 113, obviously he's going to start focusing me down because there's a tier 10 medium shooting him in the ass. But this is really important. This is where tunnel vision screws over a lot of players. You can see I bounced that shell right there. But look, an extra Foch B just appears right here, and I noticed that it's not the Foch 155, but the Foch B would have been near the Foch 155, and look how fast he's coming towards me. And I noticed that, and in my head I'm thinking, oh shit, he's YOLOing me. And that is very, very common. If you take an aggressive play, people, especially autoloaders, even if they haven't been lit all game, will YOLO you. So we're in this situation where they've got 3 tier 10s on one side of the map. I'm 1 tier 10. We have a 600 HP WZ, a one-shot IS-3, a full HP T-32, etc., etc. So we're not, I said that wrong, but whatever. We're not going to win this side, at least in my opinion. So what you're going to notice is I'm leaving. You don't want to fight a fight you can't win. It just makes no sense whatsoever. So you're going to see I'm sort of going to try to force them to pay as they kill my teammates, but I don't expect to win against 3 tier 10s with a bunch of one-shot teammates. So what you're going to notice is I'm just sort of... I don't know, I'd say I'm jittery right here. I try to put a shot into the 61. I get lit. That was a bad play. Throw away 500 HP. And at this point in time where it's like, okay, well, if I just make a mistake even while I'm trying to support my teammates, that's going to be the end of me. There's 3 one-shots, and then the full HP T-32. So we're leaving. Now, the reason we're leaving is twofold. One, I need my tier 10 TDs to be in the fight. You need to look at where your strongest vehicles are when you play this game. So our strongest vehicles are on the 1, 2, and their strongest vehicles are on the 0 line. So foreseeably, what I'm doing is I'm running away, and that's going to give my teammates the opportunity to shoot at them. Hopefully the Grill and the STRV will realize there's a bunch of tanks pushing into our base and drive over to help us out. Now that's the team aspect to this game. The selfish aspect is, okay, well, we're going to lose. Might as well give myself a chance at winning by bringing the enemies into our camping TDs, and might as well just prolong my life. I'm at, I was at 1700 damage when I ran away. We're up to 2400. Hopefully we can just continue to make this game as best as possible, because realistically we're down a lot of tanks. So there's 2 things that I'm doing here, and they sort of, how do I say it? They add together, because if my teammates can shoot the enemy, that's going to extend the game. It's going to allow me to do more damage, and it's also going to increase our chances at winning. So that's the play I'm making right here. Now, from this position, I mean, I don't know how to play this. It's very rare for me to be sitting right here, but I want to point out that given the context of the game and the fact that our RHM just died, despite me being on the red line, this is the most aggressive position on at least the eastern side. I mean, the Grill and whatnot are not fighting anything, so I am the front lines right here, which is really interesting. So the way I've positioned myself is sort of as bait. If any of them want to kill me, they have to drive across an open field and in front of our TDs and whatnot. So this is a relatively strong position. I do have like 6 people covering me, and so that's going to allow me to keep the enemy lit and whatnot while I play this location. Now, I get clicked, that's going to be a problem for me. I'm looking for shots on the Scorpion as well. At this point in time, we're down 6 tanks. We've lost, and that happens. So the thing is, when you're going to lose, don't let it phase you. Just keep playing, because losses happen. You just don't want them to end with like 0 damage or whatever. So you can see I'm going to be playing for damage right here. I'm just looking for shots on people, and the way I poke is going to be very... I mean, I just threw away 400 HP, but for the most part, because I'm a one-shot now, I'm going to be poking relatively safely. I'm going to be held down to the enemies. I want to wait until I think I'm unlit at least, and I just learned that it's actually 10 seconds until a tank gets unlit. I actually thought it was like 5, but there you have it, it's 10. And you can see the 113 shoots at me, he dies, and so that's going to let me put a lot of shots into, really anyone. Now, we're slowly getting constricted here. You can see I'm worried about Artie, that's why I drove up the way I did. I'm pointing my frontal armor towards the T-34-2, put a shot into the Foch, who obviously wasn't looking at me. I wasn't spotted when I poked, so that was relatively safe. And you can see I was just looking for some sort of quick shot on the Foch, hoping to get an extra 300 damage off of him. Now, the Foch B is pushing into our team, and I think I'm going to get a couple shots here, but the way I'm playing this is just really opportunistic. You can see we're now down 8 tanks, so we're just looking for shots on people, because we're up to 4,200 damage, This is what you need to do. If your team is trash, which it inevitably will be, especially on ×3 XP weekends and whatnot, you have to find a position and just farm, because you're not going to come back from these fights unless you're like lucky enough to get it's those type of replays that get featured on Quickie Baby's channel, and for the most part that type of thing is, I mean, it helps if you have skill, but realistically you're not going to win with the scores the way they are. So I mean, good luck if you think you can do that consistently. But regardless, we've taken a position that I'm just trying to make work, trying to make a good game, and like trying to take a bad game and turn it into a good one. You can see we're looking for shots on people. Finish off the Type 61. That's the first kill. We're up to 4491 damage, and it's at this point where they just have so many tanks, they're just going to drive into me. So you can see VK drives into me. I put a shot into his maybe his upper front plate with heat there. I don't really know. He is aiming at me though, so I'm not really going to poke on him unless I think I have the chance. T-34-2 right there is driving into me, and then the Scorpion behind me is pressuring me. So I'm looking at the Scorpion, just trying to intimidate him. We're going to finish off the 34-2. I just want to get kills in this situation. And then the Foch 155, who's still full HP, and I mean, he was playing relatively aggressive, pushes into me. And I mean, we're up to 5,300 damage. You can see I noticed the Scorpion's pushing into me. I'm just trying to get the kill right there, and I don't. But that's the game. I mean, if there was much more I could have done, I don't have the answer, really. I just don't. So hopefully this video, well, let's go take a look at the end plates. It's so stressful. Obviously, being in these situations, it's so hard to deal with because you have to recognize, one, that you're not going to win, and then two, you have to sort of be okay with that, because if you're not okay with it, you know, you're just going to be angry, and good luck performing while you're angry, you know? So I came up to here. I don't know specifically where it was on the map, but I just played this area, or it's probably right here. And, you know, you come to this location because you want early shots on people. Now, you can do that. You don't need XVM to take that kind of position, but the way I try to predict teammates is just I try to look at their situation. If you've got a bunch of one-shot teammates with you, you know, they're one-shots, and they're probably average players, so they're not going to be able to deal with that. So when you see multiple one-shot tier 8s around you, it means you're going to lose unless they have the I don't know how to say it, reciprocal. Unless they have reciprocal one-shots or whatever, like unless they also have one-shot enemies, you're not going to win a flank. So you'll notice I started to back off, and that was particularly after the Foch B came out of nowhere and YOLO'd me. Now in the game I actually confused it with the Foch 155, but then I noticed he hit me for 400. But regardless, the effect is the same. Some guy just decided to YOLO me, and then I left. And that happens when you're in the front lines. You will get YOLO'd, and you have to be able to recognize that as it's happening so you can leave. It really helps to be in a fast tank. Now if you're in a slow tank, you need to make sure you're with teammates. So you can see we ran away, you know, slowly but surely we lost the 890, so I came all the way over to here, and that's where I made the final stand. Now, you'll notice as I was driving along here, I had 1,700 damage. I ended up getting something like 5,600 damage and 2 kills from this game. You know, we had how many average zeros? It doesn't really matter, but you know, it's you find a position and you make the most of it, especially when you're gonna lose. Because what happens is if you can't do your hit points, like, okay, let's just give an example. Let's pretend you're a 2008 player, and most people have trouble with consistency. I mean, I do too, but especially when you're in that 2008 range. What will happen to those types of players is they will play aggressively, and they'll just die right there. Like most people would die when they've committed to that rock. The thing is, when you have the opportunity to farm, you need to take advantage of it. So leaving gave me that opportunity, first of all, but it's also important to realize that you have to make the most of that situation, because if you end the game on 1,700 damage, you know, you're not helping your win 8 at all. You're just having another below average game. So you need to try to take bad situations and make them into good ones. And obviously it's hard, like it's challenging, but you know, I did the best I could here, came out with 5,600 damage, and my advice would be just to try to pick some, if your team is failing the way ours did, where the enemy, I mean, effectively the enemy controlled anything that wasn't in this area, right? So they had so much map, there's very little chance that we're actually going to come back out of that, considering how much armor and how much HP they had. You just have to make the most of that situation and do as much as you possibly can, because if you don't, you know, that's when failure happens. If you don't do the best that you can while you're here or whatever, it's like, you know, you just give it the best you have. That's all you can do. So, you know, there's my advice. I hope this video is helpful. If you want to see more, be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button, and I hope to see you around. Later, guys.